as a guy, if you're like dating another guy, sometimes it's like, okay, who's playing what role? So. Here are some of the Q Agenda's new rules for dating. Rule number 1, know what you're looking for, but be flexible. So I know we all have like a certain type, and we all have certain types of people that we go for, but it's always good to be flexible. I mean, even from my personal experience, I feel like sometimes the best people I've dated are people that I would have probably never even thought of or were not my type, so be flexible. Rule number 2, on the first date, wear something effortless. On the second date, take a risk. So I always say on the first date, you still want to be yourself, but I feel like that's like the moment to kind of just be chill, be relaxed. And then on the second date, I would definitely recommend doing something a little bit more bold and something that's more you, because by the second date, they already kind of like you. So you have to see like, all right. Rule number 3, avoid talking about past lovers until the third date. Honestly, I feel like this is always something you want to avoid as late as possible. I feel like the third date is a good time, but sometimes it's like, it makes the person feel like you're not over whoever it is that you last dated, and it can actually kind of show some of your red flags, because it's like, why are you still talking about this person? Rule number 4, don't date someone who's straight but experimenting. I definitely do not recommend this. It is super stressful. I mean, I feel like if you want to mess around with somebody who's curious or whatever, that's one thing, but definitely don't be committed to someone who isn't willing to kind of live in their truth. I feel like if they can't live in their truth, they can't really live for you either. So, rule number 5, don't send nudes until you've met in real life. Honestly, even though I've been guilty of sending nudes, I feel like most people are. I feel like if you can withhold from sending nudes, just do it. Like, don't send nobody nudes. Like, just don't do it. If you can resist, don't do it. Rule number 6, fight for the check and be prepared to win. I think with this rule, it's always like hit or miss. It's always the vibe. I feel like especially as a guy, if you're like dating another guy, sometimes it's like, okay, who's playing what role? So it kind of depends on the situation. Rule number 7, if you can help it, avoid stalking them on social media before the first date. Absolutely. Honestly, don't stalk anyone on social media. Have your friend do it if anything, but don't go through that torture through yourself. It's not worth it. Rule number 8, find a clever way to confirm sexual compatibility on the first date. Listen, I know this is the Q Agenda's rules, but I would have to figure out how to go about this rule, because I'm like, let's just get it over with, see if this is gonna work out, and if not, then we don't have to see each other again. Rule number 9, fill an awkward silence with a story about you and your pet. I did not grow up with pets, so, and also I'm not really an awkward silence type of person. I honestly feel like if you're in LA though, people love to talk about their dogs here, so I guess it's a great rule for people here. Rule number 10, be kind to the bartender or server, but don't flirt with them more than one time. I mean, if you're on a date, you should not be flirting with a bartender or server. I know sometimes we can have a couple drinks and you get flirty, but if you're on a date, you should not be flirting with them unless you know they're gonna give you a couple free drinks. Rule number 11, know your status before you're intimate. Absolutely, definitely know your status. Definitely, it's something that as adults, we should be super honest and super transparent about. And it's not something you should be ashamed of.